Thank you for joining us. My name is Jesse Ellis. I'm the Prevention Manager in the Fairfax County Department of Neighborhood and Community Services. Congratulations on receiving a Partners in Prevention Fund capacity building grant. The Partners in Prevention Fund is funded by the county government's Health and Human Services agencies and is administered by the Prevention Unit in the Department of Neighborhood and Community Services. The purpose of the fund is to build the capacity of county and community providers to implement effective prevention strategies to achieve a set of shared community-level outcomes for our children and youth. The Capacity Building Grant Program is the fund's signature program and has now been in place for over 10 years. While we certainly aim to serve children, youth, and families through the grant program, its main goal is to build the capacity of your organizations and staff and volunteers to implement prevention programming. In this training, we will cover how the Capacity Building Grant Program operates, your responsibilities as a grantee, and the resources that are available to you. New this grant cycle is our Grantee Handbook. The handbook is available on the Grantee webpage at www.fairfaxcounty.gov/NCS/PIPF_IV.htm. We will be regularly updating the handbook, so be sure to check it out often and let us know if there are topics or resources that should be included. It covers everything that we will discuss today and much more, so it is a very valuable resource. Be sure to check it if you have any questions, as it may answer them before staff can get back to you. Your contract with Fairfax County spells out your responsibilities as well as ours. Your responsibilities for implementing programs include to meet all contract requirements, which include things such as maintaining insurance and ensuring that your staff and other program implementers have background checks completed and have gone through required trainings. Responsible for following the invoicing processes to make sure that you get paid, and we'll be discussing those in much further detail. Making sure that you implement programs with fidelity, something else that we will be discussing. You need to participate in evaluation activities, which you will see we have designed to make as little a burden on you as possible. You'll need to participate in planning and coordinating activities and attend all required trainings and meetings. You're not in this alone. We too, on the county side, have responsibilities. With the exception of training for the Strengthening Families program, we provide training on facilitating all of the programs within the Capacity Building Grant Program. We will provide you with the main program materials such as curricula and videos, and we will provide technical assistance and support to you throughout the process. Most importantly, from many of your perspectives, you want to make sure that you get paid. The way that the Capacity Building Grant Program works is you will get paid each time you implement a program. And you get paid after you implement the program. We're not able to pay you up front. So let's say, for example, your organization is implementing safe dates. Each time you run a implementation of safe dates, and an implementation is the 10 sessions that make up safe dates. So let's say you are going to run the safe dates program at the Fairfax County Community Center this December. Each time you do that, you must complete this process. First, you must submit a planning worksheet, letting us know that you are planning to implement the program. that needs to happen at least 3 weeks prior to the program beginning. So if your first session is scheduled to be on December 1st, you need to get us your planning worksheet early in November. We will then process that worksheet and request a purchase order from Fairfax County. You will receive your purchase order. That is your official notification that it is okay for you to implement the program and that you will get paid for it. After you implement the program, you'll need to submit an invoice to us by the 10th of the month following the end of the program. So if the program that you begin in December ends in the middle of January, your invoice will be due to us by February 10th. Once we receive that invoice, you'll generally receive payment from the county approximately 30 days later. So let's go a little bit more in depth into how this works. This is what the planning sheet looks like. If you've had a Partners in Prevention Fund grant in the past, you'll notice that this is a new form. It does look different and it has more information than prior forms did. We'll ask you, as you can see at the top of the form, to provide your name and contact information, which program you're planning to run. So in the space where it says program name, if you're running Safe Dates, that's where you would write Safe Dates. In the location blank, that's where you would write Fairfax County Community Center or whatever location, wherever you are facilitating the program. In the space for under program schedule, you'll list the dates that the program is running. Again, Safe Dates is a 10-session program, so you'll probably be meeting over 10 different days. So you will list those 10 dates there. The number of participants expected, you'll let us know how many you are expecting to have. And the target audience. Just let us know very briefly who it is that you're planning to have participate. It might be your church's youth group. It might be an after-school program and the participants in that. Or it might be something that you're just advertising out to the general community. But just let us know who those people are. We're also asking you to list the specific staff who will be implementing the program. And for the purposes of everything we're going to talk about today, when I say staff, I am including volunteers and subcontractors. So anybody who will be having contact with the participants through the implementation of the program needs to be listed here. And you can list their role as well. Are they a lead facilitator? Are they just assisting? Are they providing child care? Just let us know what their role is within the program. All staff who are directly facilitating the program are required to be trained in the program. Again, we provide that training. So you just need to check off to acknowledge that those staff have been trained. And all staff who have any contact with participants need to have a background check that is administered through the county. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So again, you need to acknowledge that they've had their background check. If the staff that will be on site have not been trained and had their background check, we will not approve the program to go forward at that time until that has happened. Just to clarify, people who need to be trained are the ones that are actually leading the program. So if you are leading a program that is also providing childcare, for younger participants, or if you're leading one of the family programs and you're providing childcare, the folks running the childcare don't need to be trained in the program, but they do have to have a background check since they're coming into contact with participants and family members, especially children, through this program. At the bottom of the planning sheet, any other details or issues you think that we need to know about, you can provide us information there. This sheet needs to be submitted, again, 3 weeks ahead of time, and you'll send it to 3 different people. You'll send it to me, Jesse Ellis, since I will be the one who approves you moving forward, and I will let you know if that's the case or if we can't approve it. You will send it to your program, your NCS liaison, who we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit, but you will have a staff person from Neighborhood and Community Services who will be your direct liaison and will work with you, provide technical assistance and other support. And you will send it to Lisa Lunghofer, who is our independent evaluator, and she will be in touch with you to coordinate all evaluation activities. So you'll have all of this information in writing, and we'll make it really easy for you. But I want you to know that, again, the planning sheet needs to be submitted to us 3 weeks ahead of the beginning of your planned implementation, and it needs to be sent to 3 different people. Again, once we have the planning worksheet and it's been approved, we will send it to our finance folks, and they will send you your official approval letter. Now, I will let you know ahead of time whether or not we are approving your implementation. And so once you have that notice from me, feel free, please, to begin planning and getting everything ready to go. But your purchase order that you will receive from the county will look like this one, and it's your official notification. You'll need to make sure you get that because you will need to note the purchase order number when you invoice us to receive your payment. After you have implemented the program, you will submit an invoice. We will make sure you will have the information as to who to send the invoice to, and generally there's an email address, an accounts receivable email address that the county will provide you. We also ask you to copy me on it because I'm the one who has to approve it, and I can approve it more quickly if you copy me on it in the first place. So again, if you are a returner and have received the grant in the past, you'll notice that our invoice form has some additional information. If your organization has a standard invoice form that you need to use, that is fine, and you can submit that. But we will ask you to attach this one, or at least the information on our invoice form as well, because we will use it for not only tracking, but for our ongoing evaluation work, and this will save you a lot of time in the long run. So again, you will need to provide on the invoice form, you can see at the top, your name and contact information, where we send the payment to. But you'll also notice you will need to include your vendor number and your contract number. Those 2 numbers have been provided to you in your contract documents. We can help you find them if you need any help, and they will stay the same throughout the entire grant period. The second section on the invoice form is specific to the invoice. You need to provide a unique invoice number for each invoice, and you can make that up. You can just call it Partners Prevention Fund invoice number 1, invoice number 2, whatever works for you. You need to include the purchase order number that you are invoicing for, and so again, that's why it's important to make sure you receive that purchase order, because you will need to note that number. And then the invoice period, beginning and end dates, and those are the beginning and end dates of the program that you ran. Below that, you can list the specific programs and the dates. You can just give us a date range. You don't need to list every specific date. the location it was run, the number of participants that actually showed up and participated, and the cost. Again, the way the Partners in Prevention Fund works is your contract is to implement specific programs, and each time you implement them, you get paid a certain amount. So, and I'm just making up a number here, but if you are running safe dates and your contract says that every time you run safe dates, we will pay you $10,000, you would write safe dates on here and the dates that you ran the program and where and how many people showed up. And then in the cost column, you will write $10,000. At the bottom, we're also asking you to acknowledge that you've completed all of the evaluation requirements, which again, we'll discuss in a few minutes. Once you email the invoice form, again, we will approve it and you will generally get payment within 30 days. We'll now discuss a little bit about implementing programs. There's a couple of different ways in which programs get implemented. In most cases, you will initiate the implementation of the program. You will tell us, hey, we have a youth group that we want to run this program with, and this is when we're going to do it and where. Or we are going to advertise this to the general population in a certain community, and this is where we're going to do it and when. The most part, again, you are the ones who are determining that and telling us when and where and with whom you plan to implement the program. Every once in a while, though, we will come to you with a specific need. And again, sticking with our safe dates example, we might come to you and say, hey, at the Mott Community Center in Fairfax, they've been talking a lot about teen dating abuse and violence, and we think that it would be a good opportunity to implement the Safe Dates program with their middle school after-school students. Could you come out to the Mott Community Center and run that program in their after-school program? When we ask you to do that, it's not a requirement. We certainly are hoping you will say yes, because it gives us additional capacity to serve communities and individuals in need. But that implementation is done through mutual agreement. But we will from time to time come to you and ask you for that. It is your responsibility to identify locations for the facility, for your programs. We can provide you technical assistance with that, though, if you need it. We can help connect you with community centers or libraries or schools or other locations that could serve as locations for your programming. And so we can help you with that, but again, it is your primary responsibility. Same thing goes for marketing your program. We are not going to be responsible for advertising it and recruiting participants for you unless we're coming to you and requesting that you implement the program at a certain location with a certain population. In that case, we will generally be the ones who will make sure the participants are there. But otherwise, it is your responsibility. Again, we can provide technical assistance in best ways to do that, to conduct that outreach and do that marketing. As you market your programs, as you recruit participants and get them signed up to participate, please plan for attrition. If you recruit 15 people who say they will be there, expect only 12 to show up. And if 12 people start in the program, expect that only 9 or 10 are going to finish. We ask you to target a minimum number of people for your programs. That's because the programs are designed to be effective when they have enough people. A program that is designed to run with a group of people, a group of 10 to 20 people, for example, is not going to be as effective if there are only 2 or 3 people showing up. So it is important that you plan for that attrition in your in your recruiting efforts. And also a special note about language capacity. If you are advertising your programming in languages other than English, please be very clear as to whether or not the programs are actually being implemented in languages other than English. If all of your materials are in Spanish and people show up, but your program is not in Spanish and is only run in English, people may be expecting it to be in Spanish and may not be able to participate if it's only in English. So make sure you are clear if you are advertising a program in a language other than English as to whether or not, as to what language the program is delivered in. Unless you're, except for Catch Kids Club, which is designed to be implemented within an existing after-school program, and in that case you don't really need to incentivize people to show up since they will already be there. For all other programs, though, we provide within your budget funding for incentives. Incentives are designed to get people in the door and to keep them there. You don't need to spend a lot of money on incentives. Generally, small things work very well. You know, maybe a t-shirt or a water bottle, or little toys or trinkets. Those kinds of things tend to be very effective. You can implement incentives in any way you want. If, for example, you have $15 per person for incentives, you can give each person a $15 incentive, or you can give them each 3 $5 incentives, or 5 $3 incentives, or however you want to work it out. Or you could do a raffle, a drawing, and pool all the money and buy bigger things, gift cards and the like. That is up to you. The one thing that we ask is that for programs that meet for more than 4 sessions, we ask that you not restrict incentives to people who have perfect attendance. If you're expecting kids or families to attend all sessions of a 10-session program, for example, and they miss one, we still want them to come back. So if your incentives are only to people who attend all 10 sessions, you are likely to lose people who for one reason or another miss an early or even a late session. We can provide, again, further technical assistance and support with you in developing your incentive program. We also ask that you really pay attention to participation guidelines. In your grantee handbook, you will find descriptions and information on each of the programs. And they all have guidelines for not only the number of people that should participate, but the age range. Again, these programs are, for the most part, evidence-based. And that means that they have been researched and we have significant and sufficient evidence to show us that the programs work and achieve the outcomes that they are intended to achieve. But that evidence is that they work when they are implemented as intended. So if a program is designed for middle schoolers and you implement it with 5th graders, it is not likely to achieve the outcomes that we want. That's because it is designed developmentally. It takes into account the maturity, the intelligence, the existing knowledge base of its intended participants. So if the case, again, is for middle schoolers, it's not expecting 5th graders to be able to grasp the concepts or be able to attain the skills that are being taught. So it is really important that you follow those guidelines as well. And that leads us into the broader concept of implementing programs with fidelity. Again, the programs have been shown to be effective, but only when implemented as intended. So if a program is designed to be 10 sessions, and you've decided that you don't really like sessions 8 and 9, so you're just going to skip them, and you're only going to implement 8 sessions total, the program will not likely achieve the outcomes intended. If you decide that certain activities, you're going to change how they're implemented, or you're going to skip them, or you're going to replace them with something else, again, we're not going to achieve the outcomes that are intended. It is important that you follow the programs. Different programs have different guidelines for fidelity. For example, the Safe Dates program gives you a script. You can read the script, but it's also very clear you don't have to read the script. As long as you're communicating the general idea and general concepts contained within the script, that's okay. But there are other programs where there are specific wording that they want you to use. That's not to say that modifications can never be used. There are cases where that works, and that's okay. Again, using Safe Dates as an example. Safe Dates, the very first lesson in Safe Dates asks you to assign homework to the participants that they will bring back with them at the second session. We do not expect you to assign homework. Homework works well in a school setting, but you're going to be implementing these programs in community settings. The last thing kids need is for somebody else to be giving them homework to do. So it's okay to skip that as long as you cover the concept, and it's very easy to still work in that material either at the end of the first session or at the beginning of the second session. So again, it's okay to make modifications, but we need you to request those modifications ahead of time. And your liaison will work with you to make sure that those modifications still adhere to the general direction of the program and aren't going to compromise our ability to achieve the outcomes. So we must have pre-approved those in writing. There's not a form that you need to fill out or anything. All you'll need to do is email your liaison. Your liaison likely will have a conversation with you, and then we'll send you an email back saying that the modifications have been approved. Another reason that this is important is that way we can track them and we can look at our outcomes and see if if the modifications are adversely impacting the results that we're getting. And we can see if things that work, we can make them into standing modifications. For example, to skip the homework in Safe Dates, you don't need to get permission from us. We're telling you now that that's okay. As we move forward, we'll probably identify other things like that we can share with all of you to make your implementations easier and more effective. Finally, it's important to consider ahead of time the planning time that you need for programs. We made sure that you included adequate planning time, and we compensate you for that within your budgets. As a general rule of thumb, for every hour of actual program implementation, you'll probably need to spend about an hour of planning. You'll need to take that hour to make sure that you really understand the content of the lesson, the activities that will be happening, that you have all of the materials in place and ready to go and prepared. If you're going to be capturing notes on a flip chart, go ahead and write the headings up on the flip charts ahead of time so that it takes less time to do that during the actual program. These are all the kinds of things that you'll need, that you'll spend that planning time doing. as you move forward and as you get experience implementing these programs and do them more and more, you'll be able to spend less time on planning. And the good news is we'll still pay you the same amount. One of the real new elements to the capacity building grants that previous grantees really have not had the benefit of is a real new robust technical assistance and capacity building component. Each of you as an organization will need to complete an annual capacity building plan. This will be a very simple document. We will ask you to come up with 1 or 2 goals that are relevant to the work that you are doing. It might be, goals could be things such as increasing reach. So how can we reach more kids and families in our programs? How do we link to other relevant services? So if we're running safe dates and talking a lot about teen dating abuse, how do we link our kids with some of the other domestic and sexual violence services and resources that are out there? We'll help you. It might be to develop more partnerships or get engaged with broader community-wide or county-wide initiatives, or otherwise to be able to increase your capacity to implement more programs. So each year we'll ask you to come up with a specific goal, and your liaison will work with you on this, and we'll come up with a couple of key strategies for each goal that you can work on over the year. In addition to the capacity building plan and any assistance with that, again, we can provide technical assistance to you and your organization on a wide range of topics, including capacity building overall, communications, coordinating and linking with other services and initiatives, implementing programs, evaluating programs, and analyzing data. We can provide assistance with all of those things at any time, and your liaison will be the person to reach out for to request that technical assistance. Where this differs from how we've done this in the past, we've always said technical assistance was there, but we now have the staff to provide it, so we're very excited to be able to offer this service. Your evaluation requirements are in 4 different categories. We are conducting a performance evaluation, fidelity evaluation or process evaluation, program outcome evaluation, and capacity building evaluation. You are required every year to submit an evaluation report, and before you groan, we will show you in a minute why this will be the easiest thing you've ever had to do. Your performance data is mostly around program implementation and training. How many programs did you run? How many staff were trained? How many people did you serve through your programs? That kind of stuff. Okay. You'll notice that all of that information we've already tracked, either through your attendance at trainings or through the information you submit to us on your planning sheet and invoices. Fidelity checklists. For most programs, you will have checklists or very brief surveys that you will fill out at the end of every session. So again, if you're running Safe Dates is 10 sessions long. At the end of each of those 10 sessions, you will fill out a form that basically asks if you did all of the activities, if there were any changes that you needed to make, if you had any problems or challenges. It was very quick, should take you no more than about 5 minutes at the most to fill out fidelity checklists. You will submit those to Lisa Lunghofer, our evaluator, and she will compile them. Most programs also have participant pre- and post-test questionnaires that you will that we will complete, and this assesses the extent to which we're meeting those outcomes. Are our participants learning the knowledge that we expect them to gain? Are they learning the skills that we expect them to acquire? Are they changing their attitudes around certain issues that we hope that the programs are resulting in? These surveys are how we figure that out. You will implement them as a part of the program implementation. So generally the pre-test survey is done at the beginning of the first session, and the post-test survey is done at the end of the last session. You will send them to Lisa, who will run all the analysis for you. You don't have to do any additional work. And finally, the fourth part is the capacity building plan. So as we just mentioned, each year you will come up with a goal or two. The evaluation of that is simply, did you achieve your goal? Okay, so again, something very easy for us to assess. So each year, and we will operate on the county's fiscal year, which is July 1st through June 30th. So at the end of each year, by July 30th of each year, so a month after the fiscal year ends, you're going to be required to submit an annual report with the information that is listed here. So this is all the stuff that we just talked about. With the exception of the last bullet on this page, the statement of challenges or lessons learned, we, county staff, will already have all of that information. Again, from working with you on your capacity building plan and from receiving your planning worksheets, your invoices, and by tracking who shows up at trainings. We will have all of this information already. So in July each year, we will send you your annual report with all of the data in it already. All you will need to do is add a few sentences about any challenges you faced and any lessons that you learned in implementing the program. Again, just a few sentences. You'll fill that out and you'll send it back to us, and your annual report will be done. So again, should be the easiest evaluation report that you've ever had to complete. Should take you no more than maybe 15 minutes a year to complete that report. Just a quick note about the surveys and the fidelity checklists. When you submit your planning worksheet, again, Lisa Lunghofer will be copied on that. Lisa will then be in touch with you to make sure that you have everything you need, to arrange if she needs to come out to any of the sessions, and to coordinate how you will get your evaluation materials to her. So just by submitting that planning worksheet, we will then be in touch to coordinate all of that with you. Key contacts from Neighborhood and Community Services. Again, my name is Jesse Ellis. I'm Prevention Manager, and I manage all of your contracts and oversee the program. Kristen Brennan, Chrissy Cunningham, Victoria Carries, and Jonathan Melendez will serve as your liaisons. We will make sure that you know who is your organization's liaison, but if at any time you have any questions, please feel free to let us know, and we'll make sure that the right person gets in touch with you. That wraps it up for our overview training. We hope you have now a basic understanding of how the program works and what your responsibilities are. But again, if at any time you have any questions, please consult your handbook or feel free to contact any of us, and we'll be happy to work with you. We're really excited about this opportunity and the chance to work with you to to support children, youth, and families in Fairfax County and help ensure that they are successful and thrive. Thank you again.